Good morning. It's the weekend of June 10th, 2017. If you recall, last weekend we did fast and hot ribs on the pit barrel cooker grill. We used the grill portion, we didn't hang the meat this time. I'm going to do a similar recipe today on our big pit. I'm going to use St. Louis style ribs. I'm going to use the same Rendezvous rub. I'm going to use the same mop, but instead of cooking them hot and fast like I did, I'm going to cook them slow like we usually do. The only difference is going to be the method of cooking. I want to thank all of you for joining me. We've been live about 2.5 months and we've got about 11,000, well actually more than that, 11,000 minutes of view time and about 2,500 views. And that means a lot to me. We eclipsed 100 subscribers, which in the YouTube world is I'm in kind of my infancy stage. But those of you that have hung in there with me, gosh, it means so much to me. I really thank you very much. So without further ado, I'm going to get our ribs ready to cook on the big pit. And thank you so much for joining me. I'll be right back. Here are all the ingredients for our cook today. This is very much like our hot and fast recipe, except it's basically tripled. And the only rub, the only seasoning we're going to put on is this Charlie Vergos Rendezvous Memphis original famous seasoning. I'm going to season our ribs after I've prepared them, and I'll show you that. Pretty sure I'm going to take the membrane off this time. When I cut up our hot and fast ribs, I could really tell the membrane was there, and I'm going to do it without that this time. I left the membrane on before because this is directly over the fire in the pit barrel cooker, and I wanted to protect the bottom side of the meat because I never did turn them over, and they came out magnificent. But our mop, like before, I actually tripled the recipe from before. This is 1.5 cups of distilled white vinegar, probably 10 tablespoons of ketchup without high fructose corn syrup, then 1.5 cups or 1.75 cups of distilled water. I'm going to put it in the sauce pan along with probably 2 or 3 tablespoons of this seasoning, our famous seasoning from Charlie Vergos, and I'm going to get it hot and blend it. I'm not going to reduce it because I don't want it to thicken up. I just want to get it warm because as our meat is cooking, we don't want to take the heat off it by adding something cold to our cook. So if you'll stand by with me, I'll get the meat ready. I'll bring one rack prepared. I've got the other one already prepared, and I'll show you what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and prepare this rack of ribs in front of you. I decided I am going to take the membrane off. I'll do that while you watch. I've already started peeling it a little bit. Take one edge of it and take a paper towel and merely hold one edge. And then hopefully it comes off in one piece, which pretty much did. I'm going to neaten it up a little bit. Trim this little flap off here. And the first bone is about right there. I'm going to cut this off here. There we have it. Nice, neat slab of St. Louis ribs for our cook today. The other one's going to be exactly the same as this. It weighs about, this weighs about 2.7 pounds. The other one weighs about 3.3. So altogether we're going to be doing about 6 pounds of ribs for our cook. I've already done the other side. I'm going to put a little bit of this seasoning on this side. That's it. These are both going to be done the same way. I'm going to go ahead and do the other one. I'm going to put them in the fridge and wrap them in foil until we get ready to put them on the big pit. These turned out to be beautiful racks of ribs. I can't wait to get them off the pit. In a few minutes, they are going to go on the pit as soon as our fire is ready to roll. This is really a good way to begin the fire. It lit well. It's got nice flames to it. I'll be adding, I think I've got 2 logs in there. I'll be adding another one, and when we get 3, they're kind of turned into coals. Then it's time to get our meat on the big pit. Our smoke is almost invisible. Pit temp is about 200 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and put the meat on right now. All right, our ribs are on the pit. We've got water in the water pan. We've got nice clear smoke coming out. You can just barely see it. I'm going to shut down the lid and let it roll. We're about 45 minutes in. I'm going to go ahead and look at it. I haven't looked at it since we put it on the pit. The temp at the top of the grill is running about 250, which means the grill grate itself is probably about 20 degrees more at 270, and then side to side, as we talked about, is probably about 9 degrees, so like 279, and then it's going to lose 9 degrees on the stack end, so it's about 261. These things are looking really good. I'm going to go ahead and mop them for the first time, and we're going to mop them several times before we're done. Color is beautiful. They smell amazing. That's all we got to do. Just move these over to the theoretical cold side of the grill. I think I mentioned, since I put the air deflection plate in it, the right and left sides don't vary by much more than maybe 18 to 20 degrees when it used to vary about 50 degrees. So those things are looking really good. I just mopped the top of them, and then I flipped them over and mopped the bottom of them. I'm going to let them sit there for a little while, and I'm probably going to put them up there in the upper grate for a little bit to come to temp, and then we're going to pull them off. They're looking good. Some fine eating tonight.
I'm testing for doneness with our tongs. I'm seeing how they feel or how they bend, and they bend really easy. These ribs are definitely done. They are exactly the way they're supposed to be. Well, the next step is we'll just cut some up and see what they're like. They are very tender. My goodness, the knife just cuts right through them like, I say like butter, but it cuts through them like very tender ribs, which is really what they are. They smell great. Let's see what they look like. Yeah, they're perfect inside. They have a nice smoke ring, and that's exactly what I was trying to achieve. And now for the taste test. I'm going to pick one up and see how they are. Oh yeah. Look at those teeth marks. These things are delicious. They're exactly what I was trying to achieve. My goodness, they're good. If I had to choose between the fast and hot on the pit barrel grill or the low and slow on the big pit, I think I'd pick the low and slow, but gosh, they both have their own attributes, and they're really delicious. The flavor is very similar on both. Obviously, they're pork ribs, so they're going to taste similar, but the texture and the other attributes are a little bit different. So they're practically different choices in food. So I encourage you to try it yourself and see which one you like. I may give it a try in the Weber and see if I can do something in between the fast and hot and the low and slow. But anyway, this is a great recipe. I hope you give it a whirl. This turned out to be a pretty good excuse to cook on our big pit. Like I said earlier, the weather has been raining, it's this or that, or you need time to cook, have a long cook like this. And the pit barrel cooker does it perfectly. I had about a 2-hour window last weekend to do the fast and hot ribs. The difference between the two, gosh, they're both great. I hope you give this recipe a try, and I want to thank you again for watching SteenSmokeHouse, and I'll see you next time around.